All right, everyone, this theoretically, well, I guess we'll find out by the time you guys watch this video, I'll know. But this is theoretically the official house is done, at least done for me, and it's going up for sale. And so it's all dialed in, ready for photos today. It's going to go on the MLS and get listed, I guess, Monday or Tuesday, barring some disaster doesn't happen with the appraisal on the new house the new interim house that's going to replace this interim house. So I figured it appropriate. We should probably give you the final tour. This might be long. We'll see how it goes. But I want to show you all the things that were done, and I'm sure I'll miss a bunch of stuff. I did add up the spreadsheet. I paid $410,000 for this house. Now I've gotten really lucky in that real estate has essentially doubled in the last year here in Florida. But I spent $385,000 on all this crap in this place. So I thought I spent about $200. I went and added it up. It's a lot of freaking money. But it's kind of like when you build when I built my E36 M3 or built the M5 or built the 1M, and you sort of add up all the costs, or the Civic. When you add up all the costs, I'm not telling you these numbers to brag. In fact, it's a bit embarrassing. But this is what it takes, and then the thing you have to keep in mind with me is that a lot of the money that I've spent on this is future knowledge as well as future products that we'll be selling. And so, this house, although seems like a stupid, frivolous thing to do, I'm going to list the house and probably, get out of it, around break even, maybe make a few bucks or lose a few bucks. But it's hard to quantify the residual benefit of me doing this stuff and sharing, what it is I'm learning. And I'm going to have those lessons pay off as I go forward. So the kitchen has transformed a ton. The cabinets were completely redone. We have new hardware. The cabinets were painted, which was a mistake. I will never do that again. So the countertops were the original countertops, but this whole section here was modified. Cabinets were moved up, I think 3.5 inches. We did this transitional style hood with a typical mantle, where before it was just an open. This was a open. Typical hood, like a metal open hood. So we replaced that. But the taller crown molding, larger cabinets have added quite a bit of space, added quite a bit of storage area, as well as removed. There was a cabinet that stuck under here where we had a small Whirlpool microwave. And so this part of the countertop was essentially useless. So we got some symmetry around this area. These are 3,500 Kelvin, what did I do, max light, which we sell these in the OG store, under cabinet lighting. Unfortunately, I can't find a 3,500K light for my hood here, my Wolf hood. So the color's a little bit off, but the lighting in this place has changed a ton. I actually transitioned the light since our last video from 3,000K to 3,500K. Essentially every light bulb, every light fixture in this entire place has been replaced. So the lighting in here is considerably better. Making some color shifts. So went from 2,700 to 3,000, and then in areas like the kitchen, where it's kind of white and gray, it made sense to I guess blue up or lighten up or brighten up the color temp a bit. And so these are actually 1,600 lumen fixtures. And so what we did, Mike and I just put a basic Lutron dimmer in here. I couldn't get a hold of a more appropriate lumen output, and so I generally run this at about 20% dim. I have it at 100% for this video. We did the restoration hardware, pendant lights, or whatever you want to call those things. All the appliances have been changed to Wolf cooktop. Of course, we could have cut this out and put a range in, but there was already a cooktop here, so I stuck with that. Cove dishwasher. Not really sure what my assessment is. It's really, really nice looking. It seems to work okay. Apparently Michelle has used it. I don't use a dishwasher, so I'm not really sure. This digital readout, it's pretty sweet. I'm sure Bosch or Miele is still the standard. Cove is now Wolf Sub-Zero's sort of private label, or their own version of a dishwasher. And this was their first go, so I gave it a shot. The pantry was also redone. So this I will never do again. It's beautiful. but these cabinets are not as useful. I actually bought a bunch of hateful drawer organization stuff so I could have some pull out so I can reach in here better. But there are, these are nice custom soft close cabinets. But having cabinets painted on site, I will also never do that again. They just don't look as good. They're not as well finished. So I'm hoping to find a cabinet manufacturer that makes them in factory and then brings them out and puts them together. We did these floating shelves, which are also beautiful. One of the things I was going to pursue was how to take your Cheez-Its out and put them in a nice beautiful container and cereal and all that stuff. And so there was another level of organization that needed to happen here, but a lesson learned. We did the tile backsplash, which looks awesome. I haven't gotten a chance to address the lighting in here, so it's just a normal fluorescent fixture. We did add outlets and actually put a dedicated one in for the toaster because we were tripping breakers. But this concept of having a sort of pantry that's attached to the kitchen, eventually, when we build a house, I'd like to have a sink and then all of our stuff that you put out, I think needs to be in an enclosed area or enclosed cabinets. And obviously, in a perfect world, you want this to be a little bit bigger. But again, we don't exactly have this spilling with food. I can't keep food here because I eat it all. So this is where the fridge was, and there's so much that's gone on in the kitchen. This is where the fridge was. It was a typical 36-inch, normal depth fridge, and so I decided to pull that out because we had this secondary pantry over here. We don't even have the current pantry filled, and we made it fancy-ized the pantry, and it still isn't filled with stuff. So there's no reason to have a secondary pantry. I think in some of the plans, this can be set up as a desk, as an option with the builder. But I thought, this would be a great place to put a giant fridge and freezer, which is freaking cool. It's been a bit of a saga. This freezer is actually being replaced. So if we do sell the house, the next owner is getting a new freezer in August. Is the ETA. They just don't have any. There's something wrong with the enclosure where you can see the having 36-inch negates the cabinet depth issue. But there's air that's bleeding in. So this is a new door. This is a new seal. They keep fumbling with it. So I've worked with Sub-Zero Corporate. They've been great. That this part of the unit will just come out and get replaced because you can see air seeping in and then causing an issue with freeze of humidity that gets in there. The fridge is fine. Fridge is great. I'm probably gonna do in the next house. I'm probably gonna do dual 30-inch, and I might even put a separator in the middle. The other thing I'm gonna do when you do this big piece of stainless, you just need to do a panel. Because this took me an hour last night to get it to look like this for this video and for the pictures today. And even then, you still get some streaking. Looks like Kate rubbed up against it on the way out here. There's always a Kate handprint on here. It's beautiful stainless, but I think putting panels on it. And at the next house, not the next house, but the house we're building, I'm probably going to do dual 30s, which will take away some of the bulk of how big this thing looks. And in our pantry, I'm going to put probably another 42-inch fridge freezer combo. And so that way we'll have the room to put anything we could want to store, like if we buy a whole cow or something like that, we could put it in there. But this did turn out quite well. One thing I was worried about is that it's a little bit offset, but it feels right in here. It's a bit excessive for this level of a house, this size of a house. It's a 2,500 square foot house, but it turned out pretty well. So then here is our drink station area. This is a concept I've been sort of thinking about for a long time. I think having something like this would make sense long term. The other thing I've learned is that when you have kids, they can't get the cups. So what I'm going to do in the next house, or the house we're building, is I'm going to build a drink station like this, and I have turned the tide on the Zip Hydro Tap. Everybody uses this. Everybody uses this. Everybody loves it. It's really quite fantastic. It's a bit noisy, but the main unit is down here. And what I'll do is I'll probably create some sort of soundproofed enclosure for it in the next place, and I'll have it all hardwired with drain and everything. Instead of, we had to sacrifice this cabinet for the drain, for our ice maker, and for the hydro tap. But this does boiling, chilled, and carbonated water, which I like sparkling water. And so the unit, you just change your settings here on the side. This should be like $2,000. It's like $6,000. And I think a lot of that has to do with this comes from Australia, the import duties and taxes. And so the thing is like $5,600 or something for the font. The unit, you do need a sort of a dedicated, 15 amp for this in order to make sure it runs. But the idea here is that if you didn't have a whole house filter system, you could use that filter. And then you have a little carbonation tank, a little CO2 tank in order to transition to doing carbonated water as well. It's pretty neat. The kids love it. It works really well. And so the concept is you come and grab ice, get your nugget ice from your Scotsman. The drains are in tandem, so the drain for the ice maker and the hydro tap are connected, so that makes it seamless and simple. And then imagine that you had like a 20-inch or maybe 30-inch cabinet where you had heights where you can have cups for kids so they can grab it, so they don't have to come and climb up the countertop and stuff like that. So I do like this. I do like the setup, and I'll probably do something like this again. We did the Wolf microwave, pull-down microwave built in, and then the dual, sort of this matching M series double oven. I love these ovens. I'm sure there's better. I mean, maybe you could argue Thermador's better, or there's some fancier stuff that's better. But I just like the style. It just really appeals to me. You could argue there are faster, better cars than Porsche, but it's just certain things appeal to me and appeal to us, and so it's worked out that way. The knobs are all, or handles are all from Top Knobs, and I learned how to do this. You buy the little template. I had the cabinet people come and do this, but I did the outdoor kitchen. Actually worked out, and it's actually really, really easy to do. So that's about it for the kitchen. What we'd started to do was this. So this is a Hefele drawer organization. So we did a few drawers. Like, check out the knife drawer. I'd bought the whole system for this house. If our deal doesn't go through, I'll finish the drawers. But the intent is to have all of the drawers, highly organized with, like this organization where everything has a place. Tell me that's not the coolest thing ever. This is something that exists and is available that not too many people know about and wouldn't know where to start. And so I intend to invest a lot of time and energy in getting the team at OG figuring out how to do all of this stuff for us to have drawer organization for kitchen, baths, outdoor kitchen, stuff like that. So I think that's about it for the kitchen. Newport brass. This is a Newport brass. This was about $850. It's probably $900 now because of inflation. But I would highly suggest that when you're buying a faucet or a shower head, just go tap on the front and make sure it's metal. As a simple human soap dispenser and then InSinkerator. But so this sink was already here. But we did things like pull and put like some furniture casings. So we finished this off, did a furniture casing around here, did furniture casing around the cabinets. But again, they're like, we've talked about this in previous video. They're nice, but they're not. We'll call them a 3-footer. If you're 3 feet away, it looks great. You start to micromanage when you have somebody out here doing this custom, unless you just get really lucky and have a master craftsman. It's just a really hard thing to get right. The other thing that was a real bummer is that this is Dove White or White Dove, but when they did whatever that solvent-based paint or whatever they use on the cabinets that's different, it turns like a creamish color instead of this stark white that we have all the trim in the house, which is what I wanted. It turned out to be a slightly off-white. And so to match it, we painted the door so that way the door matched the cabinets. Luckily, the next person, the chances are some retiree or something's going to buy this house, and they'll probably appreciate this color much more. I ran Ethernet, so this iMac is running Ethernet connected here. I didn't do any under-cabinet lighting, which would probably make sense to do, but we cased this out. This was supposed to be like a wet bar with a wine rack. So I took the wine rack out and made this like a little desk area, which we use a ton. Really turned out great. And here's Michelle's, white trash fancy stuff that we never frickin' use. I try to throw away 3 or 4 times. The China crap that you buy when you first get married and you think it's the most important thing ever. So then the family room, we never ended up getting a couch. The plan was to buy some furniture in here, but furniture being such a difficult thing, this was the couch in my home theater. And for this video and for our photos and stuff, we actually put the other leaf in here to make it totally ridiculous for this room because we couldn't fit. I took the leaf out and we put it in storage. But this is a Lazy Boy Devon, I think is the model. This is what I had in my home theater. And so this will go with us to the new interim house, but probably won't last very long. With kids and a dog, you don't want microfiber. They frickin' ruin it in minutes. But in my home theater, it was great. There was no food, no liquids, no dirt, no shoes. You weren't allowed to mess around in my home theater. Well, in the family room, it gets destroyed. So then, in this room, my woofer keeps shaking our picture here, crooked. But I have a 77-inch OLED, and Jason Dustle ISF calibrated this for me. And then I've got, which are going to work very, very well in my next house. These are Dynaudio Contour 60Is, which are obviously a bit ridiculous for this room. And my new love affair, which is the Dynaudio Sub 6. I love the Dynaudio subwoofers, which I didn't think I would. And then, I'm doing the cardinal sin in any kind of theater environment. This is more of like a family room listening area or TV watching area where the Contour Sub is in the cabinet. I actually have this is now being powered and processed by NAD. So I have the NAD M17i. That's then connected to the dedicated 2-channel amp is running the Contour 60s, and then I have a Sunfire 7-channel, my NAD 7-channel, and I have another NAD 2-channel that I'll bridge the 2 channels and run the mono on the front pair just have it on order. It hasn't come in yet. And so I can't tell you, I have a Panasonic Blu-ray player. I haven't played a Blu-ray in here since the day I moved in, maybe once. This room also got, so these are 3500 Kelvin CR6T Cree lights that if I'm going to stay here, I'm probably going to swap these out for DMF. The DMF fixtures that I'll show you that we did on the patio on the deck. But this is Dolby Atmos 5.2.1. So 5-channel surround, so just regular surrounds. And then these are Dynaudio in-ceiling S4 C80s. And then these are set up as our height channel, our Atmos channel. So this is just what was here. I didn't want to run new wires to try to get more channels. I haven't even direct calibrated this room yet, but it sounds pretty good. It's decent enough for a really not a great listening environment. Really need to put some acoustic treatment in here, which I'm not going to do. So this fan, big ass fan, I forget which model this is. It's not a great choice. It's kind of clicky and noisy. I mean, this is a commercial fan, and it just makes too much noise. And it takes a second to power up, but it has some squeaks and creaks to it that I got to tear it apart and figure out how to fix it. It is a good looking fan though, and that thing weighs like, I don't know, 70 or 80 pounds or something like that. So that's the family room, and it has this whatever I don't like sliding glass doors, but it has sliding glass doors that opens all the way up if we ever wanted to. It doesn't really help in Florida because even now it's still humid. So even though it's nice temperature, I don't ever open up the house. The master, here's another lesson. I did some real fancy, super heavy duty carpet pad and like super plush carpet, but I'm sure many of you already knew this. It looks terrible all the time. I just vacuumed it. I'm going to have to vacuum it again for the photos. But you see the dog prints, you see the kids' prints, and it's even though this was really expensive for both the pad and the carpet, and it's super comfy. I like carpet in bedrooms because I don't know, I just don't like let's step out onto a cold floor, and that's just a personal preference. But this, you can see me walking around after about 3 hours of kids and people running around. It looks terrible. But this room is a large percentage of the reason why we want to move. I mean, that's the couch. This is our bed. We're like basically our master bedroom is in the living room. And, we're not a family of 8 or a family of 4, but it still just feels claustrophobic to me. And I know this is nitpicky thing, and I should be more thankful, and I am. But if this was just me or me and Michelle, then we'd be great. But if we have one kid's friend or two friends over, it's like it just feels terrible. I mean, the end of the lot is right there. Now remember, I had to do this in 10 days. We're doing the lake house transition, and the reason we ended up here was because of that. So it's not like I intended to be here, but we made the best of it. And I thought that we would be here for a little while, but we've been looking at houses every day since the day we moved in to see if we could find something that could hold us over until we built something. So we changed the lights in here. One of the things I was planning to do, I already bought the lights, was to get rid of the ceiling fan light, do a better ceiling fan, which I've already ordered, and then we were going to do some DMF recessed fixtures in here, but we're probably not going to get that done now since we're moving out. The closets, when we moved in, the closets are set up. I think these are California closets that we modified. This was it was a single lady that lived here with her kids and a single mom, and so she had it set up for her shoes and stuff were there, and then her clothes were here or something like that, and vice versa. And so we converted to a his and hers, and so I had to spend several $1,000s to get it set up. Had to add a bank of drawers to my side and change how it's hung. There's not really anywhere to put a safe, and so I just kind of put the safe in here. That's the second reason why we're moving, is there's nowhere to put anything in this house. We don't have a lot of stuff, and we've certainly purged a lot, but it's something that we just need to want to spread out. And so in here, I changed all the lights, changed all the fixtures, changed all the shower heads. The shower's terrible. It freaking shoots water like all the way out to here. But did some clean up to the tile. We had the whole place, obviously repainted. I'll show you what the house looked like when we moved in. But did things like these are awesome. Check out this company, Brizo, Brizo, I believe. You can get them for like build.com. Freaking awesome. These like towel holders and stuff. Learned another lesson. Don't ever do these kind of towel hangers. The towel doesn't hang right. It's terrible. Always do regular things. But I haven't gotten to here, but the plan was to organize drawers, to have like Kefla in here as well, and I actually bought it for this, but I'm going to save it for the next place. Michelle has kind of kept things organized. This is a little cleaner than we normally have it, but it's, we try to keep the house dialed in as much as possible. The fans are all been swapped in all the house to whisper quiet fans. So the concept here is that this house has 12.5 inches or 13 inches of open cell spray foam. So the whole house is a sealed envelope. There's no soffit. Or the soffits are sealed, and there's no ridge vents in the house. And so it's sealed off. And so technically there's not an appropriate fresh air exchange. And so I did a fresh air dehumidifier, and then in order to exhaust the house, I did these whisper quiet fans. Right now it's running at I think it's at 30 CFM. So the fan in the bathroom, I just leave them in the bathroom constantly running, in just this room, and that should exchange the air maybe one time a day or once every other day, just to keep fresh air coming in. We're going to address that more sophisticatedly when we build the house. It's funny, the interim house to replace this house is much bigger, but it's going to be far inferior to this house. This house is actually really well done at this point now with all the things that we've modified and adjusted. The next house has just bat insulation. It's going to be a terrible, from a science perspective, there's not much to it. So that's the master, and it would be nice to, one of the things that we really would like to do is the master bedroom, and the bedrooms are secluded from the main part of the house. This one, that's the disadvantage. Even our 1,800 square foot house, and our first house we bought in our 20s was set up, a little better than this from a bedroom perspective. Like the bedrooms back here feel like they're in a whole different wing. So let's go check out the Kate and my office that we're sharing. I've actually gotten it set up here this past week. We decided to sell the house, so this is Kate's room back here. So her bathroom is set up. I didn't mention we did new toilets in the whole house, as well as all new fixtures, new lights. I tried to do, that's a Cree Connected Max fixture, which doesn't work for squat. It changes color all the time, it loses, the Wi-Fi signal. I'm going to swap that out here today with a Cree KR6 or CR6. It's just not a good thing. We did replace all the carpets in the whole house, so these are all new carpets. This is the carpet. This actually does really well. So this is the carpet we're going to do in the interim house. But Kate's room is another room that you would probably want to do recess fixtures, would be smart. And then this closet had no organization, and so we did this whole closet. That's another thing I would do is change out the lights. I was planning to do all Cree DMF as well as do Lutron. We're going to do Radio Raw 2 Select, which is a type of lighting control in this house, but we're not going to get to it clearly. These are all Legrand switches, which we were going to swap for Lutron. And then this has been the battle, is that there's Kate's stuff is now in this closet. We took her craft table out, which she was not happy about. We took this out just for photos and for showing the house. But I bought this restoration hardware desk and I set it up with my ridiculous setup. I actually have some crazy yellow tech system for mic booms and everything that I just haven't gotten yet. But these are Dynaudio LAD5s and a Dynaudio Sub 9S dual LG 5K monitors. I've had one for years. And so I just bought another one to add to it, and then I have the new MacBook, M1 Max, MacBook Pro, and I just bought a OLED to replace the Sony. So the Sony was going to go outside, and then I was going to put the OLED here, and have that ISO calibrated. From a 65 to a 55 would be more appropriate. And well, if we're going to move, I'm not going to change it. This closet was slightly modified, but this is where I should holding on to some suits, I guess, in case I have to go somewhere. So the fanciest of my suits are still here, and then Kate's crap is in there. And it's been the good news is if we do move to this interim house, Kate will have a playroom. I'll have my own office, and we won't have an epic battle of wills, which would be nice. Shelly, I got this place dialed in. I can't wait for you. That's the dog.
This is awesome. I thought I was going to have to come home and do all this.
Yep, I think you're good to go. And then over here is Ryan's side of the house. We put new hardware on here. We decided not to paint the cabinets, new toilet, new shower fixtures, new lights. I'm going to put a light bulb in there. Light bulb just went out. It's funny, those light bulbs, these LEDs say they last 13 years. They normally last about 3 months, and you have to replace them. And then Ryan's room's here, so we have RH teen furniture that we bought, and he has his 49-inch display and his PC. We replaced Fortnite. We had never gotten finished at getting him some things for the wall. But can you capture that wall on camera? That's what the whole house that we're buying looks like. That's what our whole house looked like when we bought it. And so this was painted twice. But he's in here flopping his dirt feet off the wall. And so I got to come in and touch it up. But that's how normal people, that's how they sell their house. It's crazy to me. I think that I just can't imagine that, like, if you're going to show your house and you're going to sell it, why don't you just get a freaking paintbrush out and fix it? This is another reason why you do flat paint. Flat paint, I won't have to roll the whole wall. I'll just be able to touch it up with flat. So, but yeah, that's what the hallways, the living room, this whole freaking house looked just like that. And there's so many things we did, I forget. Michelle's going to tidy this up and make it look a little prettier. It stinks that these are the best washer and dryer combo in the world, but they look terrible. Maybe not in the world, but they're the best for what they do. This was here, but we added this, and then painted the cabinets, added the hardware, put in an outlet on the side so Michelle's goofy Dyson thing could be plugged in there. But luckily the interim house has a slightly better laundry room, just a little bit better. But when we build the house, I'm telling you, the laundry room is a very important spot. We're going to go nuts. I'm going to have 2 laundry rooms if you've been watching and seen the plans. So we're going to go put our shoes on, and we're going to go outside, and we'll go show you the outdoor kitchen, which turned out great. All right, so the exterior of the house, we ended up not painting the whole thing. I just had my painters that are amazing, Mazer Painting, that did the whole inside of the house. They just kind of touched up some of the stucco. And one of the things with a Florida block home is that you always have settling cracks from stucco. I'm about to swap these bulbs out again. So I swapped all these bulbs in the soffit for connected Max, which they don't stay connected. So I got to rip those out, punt those in the trash, just put some regular 3K bulbs, because right now they're fixed at 6500K, and so it looks terrible out here in the front of the house. It looks all bright blue. We'll get into the garage in a minute, but the entire yard, if you go back and watch the original videos, this entire yard was regraded, torn up, 12 dump truck loads filled with fill dirt, and so we had a whole new drain field that's 2.5 times the size it was before. But the drain field failed. It was a stupid mistake for me. I didn't have the septic system tested. And so we I spent 10, 12, let's see, $7 grand for the grass, and then another roughly 12, 10 for the septic, another 2,500 for the irrigation. So that's a big chunk of my expense of getting this place working. Was something I didn't plan on doing. So there was a big giant weed bed out here, and so we've minimized the landscaping down. I bought rock, we had the edging put in, and just sort of regraded this part of the property as well. Dug some holes, so I just had some sod brought out here yesterday so we can kind of fill up. There was also a bit of a washout here from the gutter system. But the septic system is now pretty sophisticated, and this tank here, this is another 250-gallon lift station, and so that's the wet tank. No, that's the solid tank, that's the wet tank, this is the lift station, and then there's a pump with an alarm, and the pump pushes the water out into the drain field, which is all basically the entire front yard. And so now we have a really sophisticated system. I had these risers put on, so now I can pop the filters in here, I can pull these off, we can service them. Before you had to dig up the yard to get to them. So now I'm a poo expert, whatever you call it, poo processing expert. Now I know all about it. So maybe we should start selling septic tanks at OG. That beeping right there, they cut my darned electric fence for the 57th time. But literally 20 seconds ago, we got our solar meter. So we got our transfer, our transfer switch and all that will now work, where we're going to send power back to Seco. It took me since July to get that done. Unbelievable. So finally done. But this is something you don't want to have to do, but that's the main, so that's the meter tandem, or was a meter tandem. Now the tandem is over there, and so I have 2 panel boxes, and so all of my circuits or all of my breakers are on the outside of the house, which is annoying, but it's better than having it in the middle of the garage. And so clearly you want to build a room inside the house if you to put your electric stuff. But we have a 16.5 kilowatt system, solar. Let me swap over on my app here and switch from my car. I have to get my accounts merged, but let me switch over to my solar app and see if we're even producing any solar. It's overcast right now, but the last few days I've been producing about 133% of our needed energy, and we're using all kinds of power here. So let's see, it's under matt.mormon@gmail. Sign in. Yeah, and so right now we're producing about 2 kilowatts of solar. Here's our impact. So today we've only had 10% of our energy offset. So we're using the power walls a bit. But let's say yesterday we produced 97% between solar and our stored energy from the power wall. And then the day before we produced 150% energy offset, but it wasn't sending energy back to the power company. And so the way we have it set up, the way I have it structured is that the batteries are stored, and they will only discharge down to 25%. So I'm leaving 25% of the batteries as a backup. We have 4, so it's basically 4 30-amp batteries, and each pair of batteries has its own transfer switch. And so the solar comes down during the day, offsets the energy use of the house, charges up the batteries. Then at night, you know, you really don't, you have some control over it, but the software from Tesla takes care of where the energy is being diverted in order to maximize it. You have a few, like I said, a few adjustments. So if I know a storm is coming, I'll go and I'll use the grid more, and I'll make sure the batteries aren't used. So even at night, I'll set it to, I'll change the battery back up to, say, 100%. And so then we'll, so if I go to settings here, right now actually I have my reserve energy set at 20% and 80% self-powered use. So that means that 80% of the batteries that, like at night, they'll discharge all the way down to 20%. They'll reserve 20% as long as there's a grid connected in case there is some sort of outage. But what you could do, if you know you have a storm coming, you could jack that up to 100%, store up, charge up the batteries between solar and the grid, and then that way, hopefully your solar system will keep up, you know, if the power was out for a week or something like that. But these batteries should power the whole house for at least a few days, 3-4 days, something like that. And so now the next owner, you can see there are 42 panels on the house. On the south and southwest side, I think is where they do it. It looks beautiful, I think. And then I had to plant these mature portacarpuses, and I spent thousands of dollars getting these trees because of the homeowner association. But I think it looks great. You know, it looks clean, it looks nice, it looks modern. They do a really good job. I went up in the attic and checked it and jack up all my insulation and stuff. So it's a really clean install. It was a big ordeal, big process to get it done. But as of 30 seconds ago, it's now proper, it's now functioning. I'm excited about that. And so the water is now handled out here on this back side of the house, so you can't see it. So we have a Renai with a recirc pump. So there's a recirc line I had run back to the master because the water would take forever to get hot. Plus there was only like a 60-gallon tank in this house. So now we have gas, instant on, and we have really clean filtered water, and so this really won't require a whole lot of service. But that cost me $8,000 or $9,000 to get that relocated from the middle of the garage to here, and then to have a recirc line put in as well. Then we tried that Nuvo thing, the Nuvo filter, and it was terrible. And so now we have a Kinetico system, which is a water softening system. So this is the salt tank. And so we have salt here, that's what it uses to, I guess, wash out the resin and keep our house soft and delicious water. And then I have, again, double filtration, and then we have filtration on the Zip Hydro tap as well. But this makes it better for my deionizer when washing my car, makes it better for everything. And so the gas line is run here, and then we have a dedicated gas line run out to the patio for the back porch for my outdoor kitchen. That's a port for I haven't seen a roach in this house yet. I haven't seen any bugs. And our last house was bug crazy. So I think this stuff really works, where they come out and they just fill that port up with some sort of poison. I put these trees here because we were planning to do a hood, and I didn't want to get homeowner's approval, but we ended up not doing it. I'll explain that when we get out here. But you can see, all the landscaping's done. This place is dialed in. The kids were using the fire pit the other day. All these trees are set up here. They'll mature and they'll grow up nice and tall and plush and high, so the people won't be looking through your back door from this house. You couldn't fit a pool here, but it turned out pretty nice. It looks good. And then this whole back side of the house has solar as well. And then this I didn't get finished, but it does look freaking good. So the outdoor kitchen's done, but I'd ordered furniture, so we just left it empty. So I ordered furniture, but it was months and months and months out, so I just canceled it. And so what the plan was is I'd put that 65 Sony out here, and we do some sort of table, and then I bought some of that polywood stuff, because it does get damp out here. I mean, sometimes when the wind blows and it's raining, some of these summer torrential downpours, but this was all going to be, we're going to have sort of a couch here, and it's kind of useless. What I really want this area for is this, the outdoor kitchen, which I've modified. The plan was to do like a waterfall granite and then do a hood, and this was working great, and the air just kind of goes out that way, and so I decided to return that. That was going to cost, $6,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 to do just a hood here. And so it actually worked out better to just say scrap it, because I'm using the Evo more than the grill anyway. So this is the Evo 30G. It's a 30-inch cooktop. It's basically a big, giant cast iron skillet. And I love this thing. It's so good. We'll do some videos on, I guess, the next house. I'll probably have to buy another one. And I'm also working with trying to convince NatureCast to let me become a dealer for these. But these are PVC, resin PVC cabinets. These are poured in a mold. And so even though they look like wood, they're actually plastic. And so they won't have issues with water. We just pressure washed this all here the other day. This is a Lynx Professional 48-inch grill, which I haven't really even gotten a chance to use much. And then we did our granite top, and this is a Sub-Zero little fridge that I'm probably not even going to use, but or I'm not going to use if we don't stay here. But it turned out great. I mean, this outdoor kitchen costs a lot of money. I'll get this back. This will be one of the things that will sell the house. We just finished this up. These are DMF lights. And then I just bought some basic, outdoor fans. I'd order some big ass fans, but they're not due until like March or something like that. So we'll use those at the next house. And then if I was staying here, I would have done recessed fixtures all the way out. But what I did was just add a light to the other fan there, which is not ideal. But at least there was no light out here at all. The fans that they had didn't work. So I had to replace all that and fix it. And so there's also audio in the second zone, which, if I wanted to listen to music or something, I could do second zone listening from my M17 that's, wired to these crappy, Polk speakers or whatever. And then the darn paint didn't match. I've got to get a new match. I'll leave that to the next person. We got it most of the way there. Let's walk around the side here and kind of wrap up the outdoors, and we'll go take a look at the garage. I'd urge you to go check out the garage specific video where we show you the whole thing from start to finish, because we could spend an hour on just the garage. So then we, finished touching up and fixing anything on the side of the house. The house has gutters and everything. It's pretty darn dialed in. The one thing that I didn't get done is the French drain. So I had them bring some sod to put that in, just to kind of hold the next owner over. It's not the end of the world, but it would be nice to have a proper drain here. It doesn't flood, but it doesn't, it could be better for sure. And so we've manicured and made sure that there's weed guards on all the, because this was just filled with weeds that were like this high from the previous owners. We got to touch that up there. But the other thing that made a big difference that I've gotten in big trouble for was this pad. So we built this pad for our garbage cans, and then I had to plant these fancy trees in order to cover up the garbage cans. But I don't want the frickin' garbage cans in my garage. That's stupid. So I got to jump the mud bog here. And of course we did the non-matching pavers, which actually turned out okay. So we did some pavers for the basketball hoop. We did some pavers here because this was another bed. People love their freaking stupid landscaping beds. Why would you want that? All it does is make more work. It's just stupid to me. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But this was supposed to be the matching. It actually turned out okay. So we have a few patches where it gives us a little, it's like this is the equivalent of an accent wall in your house. So the garage is where a lion's share of the expense went into, relocating the air handler, which was right here. So we had to cut the ceiling and move the air handler into the attic. Of course, then we added a dehumidification system. I added the stairs that come down. Again, go check out that video. We'll show you the stairs coming down. The Tesla chargers. So I have dual, 60 amp dedicated Tesla charging service, which will now, charge from solar. We had a door right here, right where this cabinet was, that I had to pay an engineer and do all kinds of crap. The door went to nowhere. So the door to take out. The water heater we talked about earlier was in that corner. I had to, cut the drywall to get electric, for my speakers, and get electric for my subwoofers, and get set up for. We were going to do a lift, and I had intentions of doing roll-up, really fancy roll-up doors that the goofball homeowners people denied. And so I actually Mike and I were installing jackshaft operators last week when I decided to buy that other house. So I'm going to be stingy. I'm going to keep those and let the next person get their own. I'm going to do them at the next house. But I also plumbed for the pressure washing system and my bucket filler there. All of the house is now wired for Ethernet, ran Ethernet wires. I mean, this was a big project to make what was just a normal contractor level house and make it a truly custom, really dense, really nice place. And so we did the backsplash. The TV has HDMI run to the cabinet. The mini split, of course, the mini split is off center, which people love to point out mistakes. I think it's one of those things like I'm not going to change it just because it's off a little bit. But there was the electric panel here. Is why it had to go off to the right a little bit. It's freaking fine. You don't even see it, but people love to give me a hard time about that. The baseboards were painted. This was painted. The ceiling was painted. We had to then retexture the walls. There's a whole lot that went into this. These are all mounted to the block wall. These are Sabre cabinets, so these will have to stay with the house. This has Cree lighting, so Cree ZR troffers, Cree KR fixtures. Of course, we ran the Prevost lines and the air. So I have instant access to air and power at all times, and throughout the whole garage. These are 50-foot. Then we came and all my buddies and moderators came down and we tool gridded out all the drawers. I mean, we can negotiate if somebody wants to buy all the tools. It's going to cost them a lot of money, but I'll probably just take the tools with me and we'll take them out of the drawers. But the garage really turned out great. We did the Swiss tracks. The only two things that I couldn't do were the doors I wanted to do, the operators I wanted to do, and the lift that we were planning to do. Maybe we'll do that at the next one. We'll see. The next house has 12-foot ceilings. This only has 10-foot ceilings, so it would make it conducive to a lift, which I may or may not do. But anyway, the bike lift. This is way cool. So we're about to make a video on the bike lift solution, which you can see gets my fancy bikes up off the floor, gets them so they're not impeded, but then I don't have to do some crazy acrobatics. I just go push the button and the thing comes down, and I can get my bikes off. And I intend to do that with kids' bikes in the future too, and we'll teach them how to use it where it's not near a car. But yeah, this place really turned out great. And the shelving on the side, and we have full ADT cameras, and this house, somebody's going to get freaking hooked up with this place. And I'm not sad because I love the project. And I'm done with it. And so now I feel like it's time to go do another one. And we're going to build a house, but I kind of need something in between, I think. And we'll show you the story. I'm sure I'll give you a tour of the interim house to replace the interim house. But we're still in process of designing and building the house. I've slowed down a little bit, just took a little break from it, but the goal would be 2.5 years from now to have the OG Destination OG Mormon family compound built. But the chase for me is what it's about. I love this. I love a good project. I mean, don't we all? And if I can do it and justify it by bringing you along and hopefully selling you some of the stuff that we're creating, it makes it justifiable and makes it something that we could continue to do. So anyway, that's the tour of the house. Hope you enjoyed this house. I'll let you know in a week or so after this video if we are moving, and I'll probably do a moving vlog and share with you where we're at. But it's a little dicey right now because of appraisals and also the very high probability that the other owners, they're not like me, they're not like Michelle, they're not touching up their walls, and so there's some things that they don't want to do that they need to do, and so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for being a part of this house, and we'll see you in the next one. See you soon.